All right, ready? All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dean Galluccio. I'm a retired detective out of Essex County, New Jersey, and I am an ambassador for VFAF, Veterans for American First, Veterans for Trump. I got involved in this organization because I was concerned with what's going on in this country, what's going on economically, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I have my friend, a good friend of mine here. His name is Sean Camp. He's an ordinary guy like me. Um, we both live in the suburbs, in an upper middle class suburb. But we're finding it harder and harder to make ends meet. Even though we're working harder at our age, and you're supposed to slow down, over 50. So without further ado, I'm going to have Sean introduce himself and give us a little background of what he does.
Oh
Go ahead,
yeah,
Sean.
appreciate that, Dean. Well, basically, union carpenter. Been in the trades my whole life. Been in the carpenters union, local 253, for about 20 years now. Um, Been working for basically what they call a general contractor. I'm a job superintendent. So basically, I'm blue collar. You know, cut and dry. Breaking my ass and try to put two kids through school and try to stay on top of my bills and keep a roof over my head. With everything that's been going on, I found myself to have to get politically active. I reached out locally. There really wasn't much going on here in this town of Verona, and lo and behold, a gentleman, Mike Knockhamson, a local guy, he put together a Republican committee, and we're about 2 years in, and we're growing pretty well. I'm a committee. I guess what are they calling us? Just
Commissioner?
a committee member, precinct committeeman. Just in our town is broken up into voting precincts, and so in my District 7 or whatever, there's two per. Myself and my son are our district, and basically there's two GOP members in every voting district, and we're using it as a platform to organize, to help get out the word, send out pamphlets. We actually just did a what they call a door knocker campaign. We don't have to knock on the door. It was basically a little pamphlet that you hang on the doorknob to help spread the message, awareness of that we do have an organization that we're starting, and that what happens in these, like you said, call it upper middle class suburban town. There's a lot of people that may think like you politically, but in today's environment are afraid to be outspoken or just plain be spoken about it. Forget about outspoken, just speak plainly. They're just afraid, whether you're a teacher or a police officer. It's very political up here in the Northeast, especially in New Jersey, this part of New Jersey. And so basically, we just wanted to let people know that we're there. Other people like them, like minded, just for a place to meet. Right now we don't have any teeth. The organization is just getting off the ground. We're trying to build membership, raise some money for charities that we feel are warranted. We have our own scholarship programs, and we usually team with the veterans. We do something along those lines. And it's been working out well. So it's slow, but it's growing. We've been recognized by the state GOP, nothing nationally yet, but the state GOP knows we're here, so which is good. So we have been able to meet up with face to face with some of the local leaders and guys that are running. Bashaw and I forget the other one. That's Buko, I think, is running. Long shots, but hey, we got to at least get out there and give it a shot. But
Well,
it's a
maybe
struggle, bro.
maybe the VFAF could put you guys on the map.
Uh-huh.
There's probably something that we can do as an organization to support, especially if they're the candidates are America First.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you
Well,
agree? Do you agree with the fact that this fight is not just on on a federal level. It's got to start in the lower echelon realm of politics,
One
on the
thousand
local level.
percent. 1000%. There was a blind spot, for this country is the local level. We were getting fat on the vine, and those of us in the know who George Soros is and what his organizations do. And they listen. Sometimes you got to tip your cap to the enemy, because he took advantage and spent a lot of money on state and local elections to put his people in, knowing that they are the boots on the ground. And he didn't just put normal Americans in. These are ideologues that they're basically Marxist. They vote for their own demise, the destruction of communities that are established to create some utopian utopian, what they feel is a utopian community, and they're force feeding, typical leftist policies, accepting federal money from government, taking power, which takes power away from, your local community. Because when you take federal money, there's strings attached every time, and it may look good, like, hey, I got some federal money, but you gave up a lot, you gave up your power, and once you give up your power to the federal government, it's very, very, very difficult to get back, if at all, if it's possible at all. But it's a fight that we're in for, but we're willing to have that fight. So that's it. Actually goes back to the organization and the reason that we started the one that I'm in, so that we can start that. We're way behind. They probably have 20 years on us, but hopefully we can make some strides and move forward with that.
All right, cool. That's what America First is really about, and obviously MAGA is about anyway too. We everything should be. We should have limited government. Limited government is good. The expansion of government is not good. All right, so let's just get right into it. I think one of the major issues in this election is the economy. I think it's pretty bad. The left is trying to paint a picture, and Harris is trying to paint a picture that the economy is great. Bidenomics is working, or has been working, and it's not. Obviously, everyone can feel it based on the price of eggs. Use that as an example. Gas, even though they've done some shenanigans to lower the price slightly, they actually put us in a dangerous situation. Emptying the reserves and stuff like that.
Yeah, with the gas.
So I'm gonna ask you some questions basically, and I want just be honest and just answer them as best as you could. The first question is, what is the biggest obstacle facing the American family today?
Well, I would say, you just mentioned it before. Definitely the economy. I mean, it's more than just one category, but just nationally speaking, the devastation that inflation has caused the American family, including myself, and and that's the main crux of the matter. Inflation has devalued our dollar so much, in such a short time. Wages cannot catch up. And now you get into, well, what caused that and why? That's a whole nother story. The why. We'd love to just say because they're just stupid in Washington, but nobody's that stupid. With their crazy spending, the devaluation of the dollar through inflation, which is caused by their spending. The government doesn't own anything. The government doesn't create anything. All they do is borrow money on the backs of us that we have to pay back at some point. And the more money you print, which is every time they vote for these bills for billions of dollars for Ukraine or whatever, that's printed for them. It just comes out of thin air. Now someone has to back that up with something. So that's where our taxes come in. And the more money you print out, that devalues our dollar, and it causes the price of goods to go up. that same dollar doesn't buy that same loaf of bread. Now you need $2 to buy that loaf of bread, or three, or four, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And that goes on down the line. It trickles down through food, your gas, all your goods and services. I mean, if you're just take for example, if you own a restaurant, and now you go to a restaurant, and now everything's 25% more than it was 2 years ago. You say to yourself, what the hell's going on? Why is this guy price gouging me? What the hell? But he's got costs he's got to cover. His food costs more, gas costs more, so it costs more to have his materials and food delivered to him. Same in the construction industry. Um, you know, it is just it's a trickle down effect in a negative way.
How about locally? How about locally? What does it do?
Locally,
Basically,
well, locally, biggest impact is going to be your state and locals, your taxes, taxes and fees. All state and local taxes have all increased. I mean, I think my property taxes went up 20% this year. I got to double check, but I know even during COVID, right after COVID and everything, they went up 20%. So it's like every government is putting the squeeze, whether it's on purpose or not. The squeeze is coming, and my wages are not keeping up to absorb that, and it just makes it very, very, very difficult.
how
Whereas,
does it how does it affect you personally? Like, how does it make you? I mean, personally, like speaking,
well,
how does it affect you?
personally, I mean, in my own personal life, unfortunately, I'm not the government. I can't just print money. I don't have a money tree in the backyard. My wife and kids
You
might
don't
think
have a
I
rake.
do, but
You don't
you
have a
know,
rake with the leaves, and we can have a
no,
magic wand and
yeah,
just.
I use the leaf blower. I got so much, but um, you know, we have to make an adjustment. We got to survive. It's just you got to, call it tightening the belt. It's basically the things that we can tighten the belt on. We do. We have no choice. But there's those types of spending where I don't have a choice. Whether it's credit cards, you got your mortgage, and included in your mortgage, if you do it like I do, you have your escrow, which has all your taxes, which are going up. Escrow went up. Um,
Mm,
Insurances went up.
yeah.
And at the same time, prices and everything else went up. So there's no way, um, there's no way to get ahead. You really can't, because you're falling further. You're falling behind. There's just no way. You can't just. It's not as simple as saying, "Oh, just work more." No, it's I'm working as much as I can. And
It's
otherwise,
not even. Yeah, it's not even that you're on a you're a squirrel. I mean, a gerbil on a wheel. You're not even that anymore. The wheel just doesn't even. It's starting
no,
to get rusty where it doesn't move right.
yeah,
You
like
know.
they got it in the wrong gear. So no matter how much I spin the wheel, my little wheel, whatever that's connected to, ain't moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It just
yeah, yeah.
it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just basically we're talking about wage stagnation, where maybe you might get a 25-50 cent an hour increase, which is nothing. It might as well be zero. It's so minimal. It's just a way for maybe your employer or your organization to say that you got an increase, but it really is insignificant.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good, and I don't know why that wage stagnation occurs, and or even depression in wages now. As prices go up, we have a lot of labor pressure coming in now. You see with the illegals that are coming in, and maybe they're legal or maybe they're legal, but even so, when you import that many people into your labor force, you're going to depress the wage where you're at, because it's simple. It's economics 101. You have an
Yeah.
increased labor force competing for the same jobs. You know, that's not, it's that's a government decision to do that. This is not just fair practice.
Yeah.
It's forced. They're forcing them into this system. It's not organic. You know, and the businesses, they can't absorb that. If you're a business, you have no choice. I mean, you have to hire the lower wage. I mean, that's just business operates to make profit. As nice as your
Yeah.
boss may be, he's not doing you any favors.
That's it. That answer just jumps into the next question I have. Um, in the construction industry, what challenges have you experienced working on big projects under this administration?
Well, I mean, what I've noticed, I mean, I do work for a smaller company, but what I've noticed is a decrease in a lot of the privately funded jobs, or private job, what we would call, where an owner or a LLC or an organization, whatever, they're private. They have to go to a bank and get a loan, because no one uses their own money. So, but with an increase in interest rate that they have now, everybody knows if you have a variable mortgage, about that increase. It's the same, and it's the same for any construction loans or short-term loans that these people use to fund projects. With that increase, there's a decrease of projects because it's just too expensive for them to do the project, because they're not going to get a return on that in a short enough period of time to make it viable. You know, I just, there's
The
really
criteria,
that's
the,
purely
the,
government policy. That's government policy that's causing it.
yeah, the criteria is a lot stricter too with regards to those short-term loans for construction, restaurants, gyms, stuff like that. The
Right.
criteria is really, really
It's
strict
hard
now.
to fit into that
Yeah,
pigeonhole. Yeah, I understand.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So
I mean,
that squeezes it more.
yeah, I mean, federally, I mean, you got to put the central banks. I mean, they've been quantitatively easing the money supply, which is just printing more money for so long. At some point, you have to start paying it back, and that's what's going on. So the
Yeah,
interest rates are, because no one's buying bonds, because our money's shit. Our money is shit, just like that
yeah,
song. And
yeah.
nobody wants to buy the bonds anymore, so they got to jack up the interest rates. Now it makes it harder for people to take a loan out. That's that's a federal.
What about material? What about
Oh
materials?
God, forget about it. So material costs are definitely up, and I'll take for example, we started a
Is it
job.
because of supply and demand, like they say? Is it
No,
because of the supply chain? Blah blah blah
no.
blah.
Well, supply chain, yes. Supply and demand, no. If anything, prices will come down because work is slowing down. But
Yeah,
don't believe what they say. All these jobs created, it's all nonsense, because they always have to revise the numbers back again in a couple of months when you're not watching, right? They revise them, and the numbers are shit,
yeah.
right?
We know
Uh,
how that works.
yeah, so material costs are definitely up. One of the things we're having problems, though, we talk material. You just mentioned supply chain. A lot of the materials is not manufactured. So I'm talking about HVAC units, large, I guess, capital goods, you might call them. They're not manufactured here. Or if they are, a lot of the parts don't come, they're not manufactured. They might be assembled in America, but they're not manufactured. All the parts aren't made here. So there's always lead time issues because of things coming from China or from Europe, mainly from China. Um, and a lot of these American companies, they moved 80% of their operations overseas, or they stopped manufacturing their parts, and now they're buying parts from other vendors that are not American. And they'll put just enough American parts in there for whatever the classification is, so they can say they're made in America, but they're not, and we feel the squeeze. And again, it makes it tougher. So let's say we have a job that's scheduled, I have to pre-order these things well in advance. Like, I understand you just can't go to the store and pick it off the shelf, but some of these things we're talking 8-9 month lead time, and because if you don't order at the beginning, it's going to hang your job up, because some of these items are on a critical path that you can't move past until that comes through. So yeah, we have to get our supply chain in order. I mean, that just we're just talking construction right here, but you remember what happened. Everybody remembers what happened with the whole medicine and the mask and all that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
nonsense.
yeah.
Well, why
All that
aren't we
bullshit.
making them here? Why, you know what I mean? It makes no sense.
Depending on China too much. Now,
Yeah,
I remember 5, 6 years ago. I remember. I mean, we talk on a daily basis. I remember 5, 6 years ago, you were like swamped, overwhelmed, with work. Like you
yeah.
were you had a lot of pressure on you. I remember you were stressed.
Just before
What,
COVID, man.
how does this administration compare with the Trump administration?
Well, I mean, First of all, you got to take COVID out of the equation,
Yeah, of course.
and it doesn't
I'm
matter.
talking about pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, when
Oh,
basically everyone was making money.
oh yeah. So I was everybody was making money. I had plenty of work. I had plenty of work, to the point where it was stressing me out. It's
That's a
like
good stress, though, I
it's a
think.
good stress. It's it's I'm not going to see that. I mean, if anything, we're downsizing now. To my company is. I mean, it just kneecapped everybody. And this administration did nothing to bring it back. They say they did, but it's not evident. What they forced companies to do is change their operations, and by that I mean depressing wages. Change because the company has to hire has to hire these an influx of labor into the market. So they're going to go for the lower costs in order to stay competitive. They have to do that. Um, um, and there's less jobs available now, so it gets even tighter. So if there's less jobs available to bid on, it just makes it much harder to stay in business. Let alone, you know, carry the experienced guys. They'd rather hire inexperienced guys and try to make it work. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
feeling
well,
the squeeze now under this administration, without a doubt. But I will say though, one of the things during the Trump administration, and I hope this doesn't happen when he wins again. You know what I mean? Um, is that he surrounds himself with the right people. I don't believe, as good as it wasn't where it needed to be.
hmm
And I think Trump
I think
knew that,
a lot of
but
people screw. I think a lot of people were phony balonies. They weren't
that's
America first.
that's what I'm
They were.
saying.
They
They're not
weren't.
America first. I mean, I've been, I'm a Reagan baby, and I've been watching this show for a long time, and I've watched Lucy pull the football on Charlie Brown so many times. I can't take it anymore. And if a guy like Trump doesn't see that, shame on him. I should hope that this go round. He's a smart guy. I'm not, and it's easy to be tricked and hoodwinked if you're an honest guy, when you see someone, you go to honesty first, right? You take a man at his word until they don't. And this is his second chance. So hopefully he surrounds himself with MAGA people, America First people. I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, because that's just nonsense now.
Correct.
Anyways, we know about the
Correct.
uniparty. Everybody knows about it now. Um,
I think he's proved that with Tulsi, and I think he's proved that with RFK. I think
uh,
those are good. I think they were good moves. They
if you
were good
did
moves.
if you did that, 10 years ago, it would drive me crazy. Like, what are you doing? But now it's
Reagan
all
did it
coming
though,
to
Sean.
it's
Reagan did
making
it.
making a lot of sense.
Reagan did it, man. Reagan did it too.
Yep.
He always said he'd rather have a Democrat on his side than a Republican that wasn't, right? Remember?
Right.
He said something to
Right.
that effect,
Well,
right?
well, yeah, because listen, the Democrats are who they say they are, and listen,
No,
you can respect someone for that. If you don't know what a Democrat is about, you're not paying attention. There's no they only change their mind just before the election, but if you know what they're doing, that's what they are doing. The agenda they want done. They might couch it in different terms. They're famous for that, right? Changing the terms of
yeah,
things. But you know, there's nothing worse than a rhino. Someone who says they're America first, but when they get the opportunity to put their words into action, they fail. You got
yeah,
McCarthy,
yeah.
got what's his face in there now, the leader of the Senate. Leader of
McConnell,
yeah, yeah. What's his name?
Mitch
It's
McConnell.
no, not McConnell. Yeah, he's the minority leader, but Mike
Oh,
Johnson.
Johnson,
Johnson, yeah,
Johnson. Yeah,
he's another one. He's another one. Another. Oh yeah, we're gonna do this and that. Meanwhile, he's passing these boondoggle bills, ridiculous continuing resolutions. Like the American people have had it. I've had it. Everybody I know in my circles has had it. We are all strapped. We're strapped. We can't spend money like that. They're just giving money away. And then you got
yeah.
what just happened, God forbid, money. Now that's something like that. Who can't get behind that? who can't get behind borrowing some money and making these people whole and making the state whole, getting them back on their feet?
Yeah.
I don't know a single person alive, Democrat or Republican, that would be against that, unless you
If
were a
they, if
true
they,
ideologue.
if they spent the money that they spend on other countries and just gave it, they'd spend a quarter, not even maybe a tenth of the money if they paid everyone's house off in this country. You
Oh,
realize that?
it's
They pay
insane.
everyone, and then you know what other people would do? Either buy new houses or put additions on,
Yeah,
buy trucks.
yeah,
They
you
would
would.
the economy would boom like you
Right.
couldn't even imagine.
Well, yeah, it would, but and it would, but that is a short-term shot in the arm,
Yeah,
and
I
that's
know.
been used by many administrations. But I think where Trump should go is that's fine in the short game, but he play long game too. You know what I mean? You got to set up an environment. You got to deregulate. You have
Oh
to
yeah.
you have to deregulate. You have to take the power away from these federal agencies that they have. Shame on the states for allowing this to occur because they want, like I said earlier, they take these federal monies. Like, yeah, we got free money. Hey, man, nothing's free, and we all know this. Blue collar guys growing up, there's no free lunch. There's always a
No.
catch every single time. So
I'm
now
working
they,
harder
they
now.
get
I'm
trapped.
retired.
Yeah,
I'm working harder now than I'm retired 10 years. I'm
that's
working harder.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You broke your ass your whole life. You literally risk your life. Um, and for what? So now you have to go get a part-time job just to for your pension, and then just so you could just stay afloat. Like, we're not going to Hawaii every weekend. You're not driving a
Here,
vet,
here,
you know?
here's a question I think most people would be intrigued by, knowing that the construction industry is a male-dominated field, right? It's very masculine, the product, Carhartt, shit like that. Is DEI has DEI infiltrated or played a role in your company or with outside
Well,
companies and project management, et cetera?
I would say so on um, my level of business, like probably under 10 million jobs uh, amount, which is small in the commercial world. Um,
Yeah.
and my company is family owned. So I don't see a direct DEI influence in the company. But I know just from talking to guys in the trades, but absolutely on these bigger jobs, absolutely, they're tokens. Everybody knows it. Um, but I would say
Sean, we're running out of time, so we gotta.
okay. All right, so I would
I
say
don't know
that
what that means.
DEI, I would say, just your average on the job type stuff. You have to watch what you say. And everybody knows everyone's a little roughneck on the job site. It's a little rough, but our industry is kind of safe only because it's very merit based. It would be nice to get back to that, but I think that's weeding out those that can't perform. If they are a DEI hire, they just get cut because they can't make it.
Yeah. What do you let me here's a question for you. Here's my final and last question. What do you if Trump wins, what do you think this election might change the negatives to positive if Trump wins?
Well,
Do
first
you
of
think
all, just in general, generally speaking, it's going to change the mood. It's going to change the spirit of the country, the mood of the country. The left will do its best to tamp it down. They'll riot, they'll burn their own communities and whatnot. But your average everyday guy is going to feel secure. He's going to feel good about going to bed, knowing he's going to wake up, he's got a job the next day.
the
He's going to
ordinary
feel
guy, the ordinary guy,
the ordinary guy.
the
He's
backbone
gonna
of this country?
Yeah, he's gonna feel better waking up, not having to worry all the time. Do I have to work tomorrow, next week? Am I getting laid off? You know what I mean? How am I gonna pay this mortgage coming up? I got 2 weeks off. I got laid off. Like, so that's it initially. What I think will happen, and I just hope that he busts out the pen and with executive action, and he follows through with his executive action, and because he is the chief executive and they're all his employees, all of those departments are under him. He's got to flex his muscle, not worry about making friends, and get the job done. That's what he's got to do, and
Yeah,
then we'll see
I
some
think
impact.
And listen, I think that everybody's impacted by it because, nowadays this is 2024 and nobody, they want to bring in DEI and equity and inclusion. Nobody looks at that shit.
No,
You
nobody
hire
cares.
the best man for the job, no matter who they are. They could be black, white,
Don't
Chinese,
care. Don't
Muslim. It
care.
doesn't matter. It
Nope.
doesn't matter. It
And,
doesn't
and
matter. As long as they do the job and they do it right.
yeah,
That's all that people care.
and I will say this, and I run into contact of all stripes and shades, nationalities, you name it. In this field, you get them all.
Yeah,
Everybody,
man.
everybody's looking for what you just said. Everybody.
The dream,
There's
the
there's
American dream.
the amount of the diversity of MAGA is unbelievable. It's quite diverse. I know they like to paint us as hillbilly, uneducated guys,
They don't know
but
what they're talking
it's
about.
diverse. It's diverse.
They have no idea. They have no idea.
I mean, yeah, I imagine that the leftist way of thinking, there's a block of them, and their feet don't touch the ground. Their hands don't get dirty. I got dirt under my fingernails. I guarantee you they
Oh,
don't. You know what I mean?
yep. Yeah. 100%. All right. I think that really explains everything. And I want to continue doing these podcasts, these ordinary man podcasts or recordings or whatever, Zoom meetings, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. Well, I
I think
appreciate
they're
it.
interesting. And I think that for so long, one of the reasons Trump is so attractive is that people like us didn't really have a voice or we were too occupied to speak. Life just got in the way. And I think that it's time for the backbone of America to start opening their mouth.
Yeah.
And
Oh, absolutely.
that's part of the whole MAGA and America First movement.
Yeah.
That's what this is,
They
you know?
pushed us too far. They
Yeah.
pushed us too far. So
Not,
we
and
have to
listen, we're
fight
not,
you.
they portray us that we're going to start, there's going to be a revolution. We're going to get
Oh,
our
get
guns.
out of here.
That's all a bunch
Yeah.
of crap.
Well,
That's
that's
all.
nonsense.
We're going to start being vocal, just like a large minority of those radicals,
Yeah.
the leftist radicals are vocal,
Well, they're not
they
even,
start,
and you say that, it's good that you say that because they are a minority, but
I
they're just
know.
a very, very loud minority. And we
Yeah.
all know the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So we
People
got
are
to
sick of
speak
it.
up.
People want to be parents control their kids. Parents want to control. They want to raise their kids. They don't want the
Absolutely.
government to raise their kids. They don't want the school
Absolutely.
system to raise their kids. They don't want that. That's another issue for another topic for
Oh,
another
right.
day.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll sign off as I guess that we would say, and I really appreciate your time, bro.
No,
I
and I
love
wish you
you.
luck with your
Uh,
organization, and it's a good
yeah,
thing. And I'm happy to be just play a small part in it. I wish the best of
and
luck to
talk
you.
talk talk to Mike to see if he wants to set
Yeah, I'll
something up with
reach
him
out
and,
and
and
see if we can set
some of the
something up.
Republicans on the committee. You know,
Absolutely. Sounds
and
like
let
a
me
plan.
know. Let me know what he says.
All right, we'll do. We'll be in
All right,
touch.
brother.
Thank
I'll
you.
talk to you.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye bye.